Today, we're diving into the story of one of the world's most successful, yet kind of private investors. He's a Saudi prince, and his billions were built not just on some genius strategy, but on a foundation of, believe it or not, profound loneliness. It's a connection you'd never in a million years expect, and honestly, it changes everything.
This quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of Prince Alwaleed bin Talal's story. I mean, you've probably heard the name. You know about the insane wealth, the investments in huge companies like Twitter and Apple. But the road to all that success? Well, it started in a place you'd never, ever picture for royalty. A world of deep, isolating solitude.
So, to really get the investor, you first have to understand the boy he was. And his world, it was no fairy tale, let me tell you. It was a chaotic, messy beginning that would go on to shape his entire life and, fascinatingly enough, his whole approach to investing.
Just look at how fast things fell apart for him. Yeah, he was born into royalty, but almost immediately his father's political exile just throws his entire world into chaos. And right on the heels of that comes the personal trauma of his parents' divorce, a split that left him feeling totally adrift, caught between two completely different worlds.
All of this fractured upbringing, it created this deep, painful void inside him. One source even described it as an emptiness of the heart, like poverty. I mean, think about that. He was a prince, surrounded by all the material wealth you could imagine, but inside, he felt emotionally bankrupt. His childhood just became this quiet, lonely search for the stability that he never had. Every great story has a turning point, and it's usually born from hitting rock bottom. For Prince Alwaleed, this wasn't just one bad thing. No, it was a devastating 1-2 punch of personal loss and professional failure that basically brought him to his knees. First, the emotional anchor of his life was just gone. His father's death completely shattered him, triggering what sources say was a complete emotional breakdown. And we're not just talking about grief here. We're talking about nights spent crying, just totally overwhelmed by this profound sense of loneliness. And then, right when he's at his absolute lowest point emotionally, disaster strikes his professional life. His very first business venture, a company he poured all his energy into, it completely collapses. He lost everything. And this failure wasn't some private thing he could lick his wounds from. Oh no, he was publicly humiliated. People were doubting him, ridiculing him, calling him weak. Can you even imagine that? A prince, seen by the whole world as a total failure? His confidence was just shattered. He was left with nothing but his pain. But it's right here, from this absolute bottom, that the legendary investor we know today starts to take shape. In the silence of that failure, he didn't give up. Instead, he forged a secret investment strategy, one that was born directly from all the hardship he'd been through. He became the ultimate contrarian. What that means is he learned to see a huge opportunity where everyone else just saw a crisis. He developed this patient, long-term vision and decided he would make his moves exactly when the market was at its most chaotic and fearful. And this is his method in a nutshell. When a crisis hits and panic has everyone sprinting for the exits, selling everything off, he does the exact opposite. He stays calm, he sees the hidden value buried in all that chaos, and he just quietly starts buying. He was moving with cold, hard logic, while the rest of the world was being driven by pure emotion.
Okay, so his first huge test of this new strategy came with Citibank. The bank was in a massive crisis, everybody was dumping the stock like it was toxic. Alwaleed quietly invested, held his nerve, and the result? He didn't just make a profit, he made billions. With a B. This single move turned him into an absolute legend.
And listen, this wasn't some lucky break. It wasn't a one-off. He repeated this exact same pattern again and again and again. He saw the potential in Apple when other people were still skeptical. He got into Twitter. This wasn't gambling. It was a disciplined, repeatable strategy built on his very unique way of seeing the world. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? How does a lonely boy become a titan of investing? Well, the answer loops directly back to where his story began. And this is where it gets really, really fascinating. Here's the key to the whole thing. The very loneliness that caused him so much pain as a kid, it became his greatest professional weapon. Think about it. He was used to being alone, to thinking for himself, to completely ignoring what the crowd was doing. That solitude forged an incredible emotional discipline in him, and that allowed him to stand firm when literally everyone else was panicking. And that really leaves us with a powerful question to think about, doesn't it? Alwaleed's story suggests that maybe the deepest challenges we face, the things that cause us the most pain, might just be forging the exact skills we need to succeed. It's a heck of a reminder that sometimes strength isn't built in spite of our struggles, but because of them.